The Giro d'Italia is one of the most grueling races in professional cycling, an unforgiving test of endurance, strategy, and mental fortitude. It's also the most beautiful and romantic, taking in breathtaking landscapes and incredible moments that get the Tifosi fired up. For the next few weeks, we're looking at some of the greatest single stages of the Giro. And first up is a recent one from 2018, a stage that featured an unprecedented attack that sent shockwaves through the cycling world. Before the 2018 Giro began, the list of favorites was well established. Tom Dumoulin, Simon Yates, Fabio Aru, and of course, Chris Froome. Having won both the Tour de France and the Vuelta a España the previous year, Froome was chasing a rare achievement, holding all 3 Grand Tour titles simultaneously. However, his Giro campaign started on shaky ground. A crash during the pre-race time trial left him physically compromised, and he struggled through the opening stages, far from his peak condition. Quote, "Some crashes you get up from and brush off. But this one, I wasn't right. And I felt for the first 10 days of the race, I wasn't myself." By stage 19, Simon Yates appeared to have the race firmly under control. He held a 30-second lead over Dumoulin and a seemingly insurmountable 3.5-minute advantage over Froome. Yates had looked dominant in the mountains, launching decisive attacks and consistently distancing his rivals. It seemed fated that he would claim the Maglia Rosa in Rome. With only 2 mountain stages remaining, Froome knew that a conventional attack in the closing kilometers would not be enough. Quote, "I knew it would take something absolutely crazy to turn the race upside down. It would be a move, almost a suicide move. It was all or nothing." The 185-kilometer stage was an unrelenting mountain challenge, featuring some of the Giro's most formidable climbs. The centerpiece of the day was the Finestre, an 18.5-kilometer ascent with an average gradient of 9.2%. Adding to its difficulty was the final 8 kilometers of gravel road, a surface that would make any attack even more punishing. The stage concluded atop another climb, a summit with brutal 14% gradients. Mitchelton Scott had controlled the race effectively for Yates up to this point, but as the peloton reached the lower slopes of the Finestre, the situation took a dramatic turn. Yates, who had looked untouchable, cracked. In a matter of kilometers, his 3-week dominance unraveled as he hemorrhaged time. Sensing the opportunity, Team Sky increased the pace. Kenny Elissonde delivered one final effort before Froome launched his attack. With over 80 kilometers still to race, Froome surged ahead, defying every tactical norm in modern Grand Tour cycling, echoing Andy Schleck's move in the Tour 7 years earlier. His rivals hesitated. Dumoulin, Pinot, and the other contenders were unsure whether to respond immediately or wait. Meanwhile, Froome disappeared up the road, leaving the cycling world in shock. This was unlike Froome and against all prevailing thought on how Team Sky usually operates. Quote, "The idea of going solo 80 kilometers out was a decision I made in the morning before the race. Certainly, there were doubts. It was something that could go completely wrong. But you know what? Stuff it. I'm going for it. Now, all or nothing." Behind him, the rest of the contenders struggled to coordinate a chase. On flatter terrain and a more cohesive group, they would have been able to close the gap, but their hesitation played into Froome's hand. As the defending Giro champion, Dumoulin took on most of the workload, but he received little help. The others were unwilling to burn their own matches too early, fearing they might jeopardize their podium chances. Froome, a world-class time trialist, seized the advantage, maintaining his relentless pace and continuing to build his lead. Froome took full advantage of the descent as well, using his skills to extend the lead further without having to expend any additional energy. By the time he crested the summit of Sestriere, he had virtually taken the overall lead. On the final climb to the finish, Dumoulin made a last-ditch attempt to minimize the damage, but it was too late. Froome remained untouchable. Froome crossed the line alone, nearly 3 minutes ahead of his closest rivals. In one of the most remarkable reversals in cycling history, he had transformed a 3-minute deficit into a 40-second overall lead. Yates, who had seemed destined for victory, finished almost 40 minutes behind, his Giro dream in ruins. The reactions to this event from the peloton and pundits spread the gamut of emotion. It was compared to both Fausto Coppi's historic breakaway wins by people who love the move, and even surprised Eddie Merckx. He surprised me. I didn't expect it. He had never done anything like that, even at the Tour. Maybe he found some inspiration that he never had before. What Froome did on Friday wasn't just muscles, legs, and power. He put his heart into it. It was a heroic feat of cycling. The more cynical among us compared it to Floyd Landis' breakaway in the 2006 Tour de France, one that was fueled by enough testosterone to fuel an NFL offensive line. George Bennett, racing for Lotto and El Jumbo, made the comparison directly, with no hesitation.
Did he stay away? Did Froome stay away?
Man, you should know. I'll tell you all about it. He's in the pink jersey right now.
Bullshit.
40 seconds ahead of Dumoulin currently.
Did Landis? Jesus.
Bennett later backtracked these comments, but also kind of didn't. Quote, "If we can't compare a cyclist to another cyclist, we can't make a comparison to any cyclist in the last 20 years. I didn't say that Froome went out and railed a load of gear and came back and won the stage. I'm just saying he made a bigger comeback than Easter Sunday. There's no innuendo. I'm not implying anything. But if we can't make comparisons in cycling, if we can't compare it to Patani, we can't compare it to Merckx then, because we don't know what was going on there. It's nothing to do with drugs or anything like that, but it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. People on Twitter want it to mean what they want it to mean. They think I'm in there battling for them, but I'm just raising a point. Considering the context of Froome's positive test for salbutamol en route to Vuelta a España victory last September, and the fact that the case had yet to be resolved, meaning Froome would lose his Vuelta title if he is found guilty of an anti-doping rule violation, it wasn't the most unfair comparison in the world. Even during the race, as Froome climbed, two spectators briefly ran alongside him, one dressed as a doctor, the other carrying a huge asthma inhaler. Regardless of the debates, Froome's performance remains one of the sport's most legendary modern moments. In an era often dictated by patience and conservatism, his daring, all-or-nothing gamble was a testament to the unpredictable brilliance that makes this sport so captivating.